I think I just want to say to anybody out there, particularly the women, it's not you. We beat ourselves up. We think that we don't have value because of this weight thing. We go about our business, we raise our families, we have relationships, we have jobs. But then I'll hear, I don't understand it. I can run my career, run my business, but I can't lose any weight. How could I be a failure at this?
Welcome to the Blueprint Breakers podcast. What is a blueprint breaker? If you live your life outside the typical traditional lifestyle blueprint, you are a blueprint breaker. We are here to start a conversation, to assemble resources, and to build a community. This podcast is for empowered women in midlife and beyond who are preparing for a powerful next era of life. My name is Amy A. Palmer. I am your host and facilitator for our conversations. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. To stay connected, up to date, and to receive all of our free resources and gifts along the way, join us at community.blueprintbreakers.com. Are you tired of yo-yo dieting, having your weight going up and down, and just feeling overwhelmed by menopause? Well, join me today as I meet with Debbie Harris, Integrative Nutrition Health Coach, who's cracked the code to balanced living. Debbie's going to share her 30-day balancing kit and her personalized program that can help you manage weight, reduce stress, and embrace your body. Debbie is committed to helping women aged 45 and over conquer their weight loss challenges. As a lifelong dieter for over 50 years, Debbie experienced the frustration of losing weight, keeping it off temporarily, and then gaining it back. Does that sound familiar? Going through menopause and trying all different things led her to understand the connection between hormones, food, and weight release. She then went on to co-found Main Street Weight Loss and Wellness after she released 46 pounds. Debbie wants to break the cycle of diet insanity that so many women go through. So today's conversation is going to give you some actionable tips from a very experienced expert. Hello, Debbie. Good to see you today.
Good to see you too, Amy. You're looking very pretty today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, welcome to Blueprint Breakers. I'm looking forward to this conversation because once again, it's a topic that I'm in sync with and really sort of paying a lot of attention to right now, as many of us are. So I'm really looking forward to jumping into this today. Before we get into the nitty gritty, I want to hear about you. I want to hear your path and journey to wanting to help other women with wellness. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, my journey started really very, very young, and I was the fat kid in elementary school, grammar school, and started dieting really at 12. And interestingly, today I was writing one of the chapters of my book, and I listed all the diets I could think of that I had been on, the ones that I actually could remember, and it was well over 20. And I'm thinking, that doesn't even count all the books I read. But this progressed. I would diet, lose weight, gain it back. I mean, many people go through this. And there were different times in my life when the weight would be off, and then there were different times in my life when it would be on and so this went on for 50 years until I hit menopause, and nothing. It didn't matter what I did,
Whole new ball game.
Whole new ball game. So on top of everything else that happens with menopause, all that fun stuff, the hot flashes, the night sweats, the mood swings are great. I couldn't take any weight off. And I did discover a way to balance out my body using food, using certain vitamins, and take the weight off about 40, 45 pounds. And now it's been about 4 years. And I do go out. I do enjoy my wine or my cocktail. And I do eat. So there is a way to do it and find your balance and stay there. And now I talk to women, I see women, I'm like, there is hope. There is an answer. And I know how frustrating it is. I know how depressing it can be. I know how we play these mind games with, oh my God, how is it that I can't stick to a diet? I can't lose the weight. I'm such a failure. There is a way.
Wow, that that sparks so much for me. Just hearing a lot about that. When you said you started dieting at 12, I suddenly had a memory because it was a way to bond with my mother. I was about the same age and I would diet with her. There was something
Yes.
that was called the stewardess diet.
Oh my God, no.
Where it was extremely low calorie. It was like a 3 to 4 day thing. Oh God. And I mean, looking back on it now, it's totally unhealthy and dysfunctional and everything else. But you're right. Like we just start at such a young
Oh,
age.
we do. And it was my mother. My mother was on Weight Watchers. So I would
Mm-hmm.
eat. And I remember the plates of
Mm-hmm.
the boiled hot dogs. And mustard was like something you could use. And I took the weight off. Unfortunately, I went to spend time with my dad in California a couple years later and gained it all back plus. So,
Mm.
the psychological stuff that we go through, the way we use food to nourish, to escape, to do whatever. It's interesting as you said, as you start to think back. And then some of
Mm-hmm.
it's just funny when you look back on, like
Mm-hmm.
you look back on some of the things and you're like, what was I thinking?
Right. Right. Right.
You know?
Now I know for me, as I got older, and in hindsight, I know I was in perimenopause. I didn't know that at the
Yeah.
time because it wasn't really being discussed as much as
Right.
recent as, what was that, maybe 15 years ago?
Mhm.
But I realized that as I was looking for guidance and experts, they were all young, like they were young women that didn't understand. It's
I-
like, no, you don't understand. This isn't working for me. You know, it became like a whole new thing. And I started to think that there wasn't any hope, that I was just going to have
uh,
to
yeah.
accept it as a part of aging.
Yes. And I remember asking a pharmacist one day, I was going to get something. And I said to her, how old are you? Can you imagine? She was so young, and here I was trying to get relief. I think it was the hot flashes. And my OBGYN had prescribed something. And I'm like, how old are you? And then I remember thinking, how rude of me to be asking her. But you're right. And there wasn't a whole lot of information about what was happening and why. And then again, for everybody, it's a different experience. So there isn't, I mean,
Right.
there's certain things that are common, but people
Right.
experience different things in perimenopause. Some people don't experience anything. I
Right.
talk to women who tell me, I have never had a hot flash. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that is not most. But then I talk to women
Mm-hmm.
who say, I've been having them for 30 years. My mother's an
Right.
example of that. She had them for a really long time. Now I think they finally dissipated. So there wasn't
Mm-hmm.
really any way. And then, unless your OBGYN was a woman and could relate, then again, you're not really getting the information that you need.
Right.
But
Right.
there is hope out there now.
Yes. Glad to hear that. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about weight and menopause. As we've mentioned, it just, what used to work for us in maintaining a healthy weight just doesn't seem to, budge anything now. So tell me about that. What's that all about?
Well, it's about a lot of things, but one of the things that we have found is that most of us have our stress hormones completely out of whack. So the main one I'm speaking about is cortisol, but also estrogen and also insulin. And what happens is cortisol, I think most people think of it, and they're right, the fight or flight hormone. So between all the chemicals that we have going on, and not just in our food, but in our environment, in the air, spraying things and bug spray, whatever it is, and in our food. And then, I don't know, is anybody living a totally stress-free life right now? All these things compound to raise our cortisol. Also, sometimes the way we exercise will raise our cortisol. Cortisol is going to, when it's out of whack, put that weight right in the middle here. And it gets very difficult to take it off, particularly as we are getting to that menopause stage, because our estrogen is also being affected at that point. Plus, most of us are eating way too much stuff that we really shouldn't be eating. So our insulin is also getting out of whack, and that's our sugar. When you put all that together, it becomes almost impossible to take the weight off, and it gets really depressing. And so now you have that element going on with it also. And women would just tell me, I don't know what to do. I've tried. I've even helped women who have had surgery, but then said the weight came back because I didn't really learn anything about my body. So what else can I do?
Yeah. So how did you go about finding answers, for yourself and then being able to share that with others?
My husband and I actually found a program that I don't believe is still around several years ago, and we were successful with it. But I found it to be very stringent and very, very limiting. And so when we came back here to Connecticut, I actually went back to school and became an integrative nutrition health coach. I've been a certified hypnotist for many years. And I started really reading and looking at, okay, the premise makes sense. If we can balance out these particular hormones, particularly cortisol, and we can do it with healthy food. And then we also have, we look at a homeopathic drop and we look at some vitamins. If we look at that trifecta, will it work? And it does. And basically what you're doing is you're removing a lot of the negative stuff. I hate to use that word. I say what we're doing is we're crowding out certain foods and crowding in other foods. And we're doing that particularly for a good 30 days. If you can do that, it's amazing the changes that happen. And I don't care if you're 28 or 68 or 48, it makes no difference. If you can do that, it gives your body a chance to balance. And that's where the weight starts coming off. So it isn't necessarily a menopause solution. It's a reasonable solution for taking weight off and then learning how to keep it off, which is the key.
So is that what you call your 30-day balancing kit?
Yes, our 30-day balancing kit. Yes. It's a trifecta. You get the drops, you get the vitamins, you get the program, you get support, and you get some snacks in there, which have added protein. And if you stick to it, it works. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Men and women, by the way.
Okay. And so the 30-day element of it, it's not that you just do that for 30 days and you're done. You're learning everything during that 30 days and you're learning how to continue.
You do that for 30 days, and then you learn how to bring foods back. So the whole point is that you learn what foods work best for you and how you can live and not be on a diet. And that's what we want you to understand, to get to a point where you have an 80-20 lifestyle. Now, look, there are people out there who are going to say, no, 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 no. I'm going to spend the rest of my life not having this, 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 and this. And that's awesome. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But for most of us, it's not reasonable. And I never tell people they can never have X, because what happens when you tell a teenager they can never do something? What's the first thing they're going to do, right? They're going to do it.
Right. Right.
What happens when you say no to a 2-year-old? Our subconscious mind stays at about the level emotionally of about a 4-year-old. So telling people they can never do something is simply not going to work. So we learn how to have that pizza. We learn how to have that piece of chocolate cake. And we learn what to do when we say, hey, you know something? I'm going on vacation and I don't want to be stressed out about every single thing I put in my mouth. Well, there's no reason to be, because you have learned how to choose and how to enjoy and what to do when you get home. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, something that you said made me think that you're not making like a blanket recommendation to people in terms of these are the foods to steer towards and these are the foods to steer away. You're not taking that approach. It's about sort of figuring out what is best for your body and where you get the best results. So there's a little bit of experimenting going on. Did I hear that right?
Yes, you did, after the first 30 days. So, for example, here's an example. I learned that asparagus, of all things, I would see an increase in the scale the next day. Asparagus, right? Okay, does that mean I never eat asparagus? No, but it's a piece of knowledge that I now have. I've had people say spinach will keep them up at night, or broccoli. They learn that, wait a minute, broccoli doesn't seem to really agree with me. Yet I've been eating broccoli all my life. These are examples of things that we wouldn't normally think about as having an effect. So the first 30 days, you're taking out sugar, you're taking out fat, you're taking out your starchy vegetables, etc. And then you start bringing things back and you say, okay, let me try this. Let me see how it does for a few days. And then let me add this and see how it does for a few days. So you really start to get the knowledge of what works for you. And then you're going to have those times where you say, screw it. I am going to go get a hamburger and fries and I'm going to enjoy it. Well, go ahead. Or it's the holidays. I want to experience the traditional foods of the holidays. Go ahead. You're going to have the knowledge. And here's the crazy thing, Amy. You won't want the foods. You know, people say, oh my God, Deb, I had pizza last night. I feel like crap. And I'm like, well, that's okay. You know what to do. Drink your water, do this, do that. Did you enjoy the pizza? Well, yeah, while I was eating it. Okay. I mean, my God, we are so upset. You know, I remember the day that I hear this from women over and over again. Oh my God, I ate half a donut this morning. My whole day is ruined. Or I ate half a donut, so what the hell? I might as well get hamburger and fries for lunch. Okay. So yes. And when I looked at that list this morning of 20 some odd different diets that I could even remember, I thought, I don't know. Why do we do this?
Right.
There's many reasons. Food is very complicated. Food is the toughest addiction. You can't go cold turkey on food. And food obviously is with us from the very beginning. So for all of you out there, you're not a failure. It's not about you. It's very complex. And you need to figure out how to balance your body and work on what's going on up here.
That's interesting. So you're getting benefits beyond maintaining a healthy weight because you're learning how the food affects your sleep, your mood, your digestive system. Like you're learning all of those things, which are also connected to menopausal symptoms too. So I can kind of see the connection with all of that. That's really fascinating.
And for women that are interested, I have a 6-month private program, and I only take a few women a year actually into that program. But in that program, we work together every month, every day. And you also receive 6 months of your vitamins and all of that. We also incorporate the hypnosis or whatever you like, relaxation or some other suggestion you would like. That's a much more one-on-one intense program, but it is available and it does give people the added experience of really working on some of the psychological stuff that's going on as well.
Got it. All right. So within this, I also wanted to talk to you about grocery shopping again, because this is a current struggle of mine, because I'm nomadic and I travel around a lot. I'm always having to grocery shop from scratch and trying to shop healthy and not blow my budget is turning out to be a challenge. I'm curious if you have any thoughts or guidance for that.
I do, and thank you. You're absolutely right, and I've written several articles about it. First of all, it's like there's so many choices now, right? Hormone-free, grass-fed, natural, organic. So here's the thing, and you're absolutely right. Don't break the bank to try and figure out, well, I have to buy everything organic. No, you don't. So here's some suggestions. First of all, learn to read labels. That is so important. Make sure you're reading labels. Make sure you really understand whatever is in the food that you just picked up. Okay? Certain things you do want to buy organic. For example, berries, strawberries, blueberries, pears, apples. Why? Because you're eating the entire fruit, okay? Oranges, avocados, cantaloupes. No, you don't have to buy organic. Bananas. No, because you have that outer layer protecting the fruit. You want to buy organic? Go ahead. But I'm saying when you're looking at your budget, and it's not just budget, but it's also availability of certain things in certain places, certain times of the year. Think about, okay, am I eating the whole thing? Or am I just eating the inside of something? Then this changes all the time, but you can Google and find out what vegetables currently are highly pesticide and ones that aren't. And you can say, okay, well, it says that I can buy cauliflower, but not broccoli. And you have to, it changes by the year. But Google has tons of on. Yes. Yes. And the other thing is certain pesticides, although we're far behind Europe in getting rid of things, it changes. So again, you want to take a look. Now, if you are in a part of the country where there is a Costco, you will find the largest availability of organic foods at Costco. However, Costco doesn't move as much produce as it does everything. I mean, we're in Costco twice a week, but I have learned that I don't buy my oranges there anymore because people don't go to Costco for oranges. They go for other stuff, and the oranges are sitting there. But if you do have a Costco near you, they have vegetables, they have fruit, we buy the organic ground turkey to make turkey burgers. They have a lot of organic choices if that's what you want, and you can find it there. Other than that, Whole Foods. The thing about Whole Foods, ever since Amazon bought them, their prices have come down. If you're out there and you're a Prime member and you have a Prime Visa, two things. If you're a Prime member, you automatically get a 10% discount at Whole Foods. It's on your app. If you have the Prime Visa card, you will also get your 5% back for your Amazon points. So these are all, Whole Foods. Now Trader Joe also has a selection of some good. I used to think Trader Joe was the best on price and availability for organic apples. Most grocery stores now have an organic section. And I will say some of the pricing is absurd. I mean, honestly, you have the non-organic and the organic, and there's like a $3 difference in price. Don't go crazy. The most important thing really, non-hormone, if you're looking at meats. So make sure that there are no added hormones in your food. That's all. That's the main thing. And in most cases, they're not permitted to put hormones in. So do check that. The meat that might be really on sale this week and it doesn't say no hormone, no GMO, don't buy it. Go with something that says that. Fish, if you can, again, Costco. Costco has a ton of frozen wild caught, and so do some of the stores. So again, If you want to choose wild caught, you have to look and see. Sometimes you're not going to find it, or sometimes it's outrageously expensive. Okay, then you get
Okay.
farm. For me, it's common sense in the sense that you do the best you can. You know, you look
Mhm.
for added sugar in things, read your labels. If you pick up a label and you don't understand half of what the ingredients are, then put it back. I've had people send me pictures of things and say, Deb, this should be a great thing to have. It's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. I'm like, it's all zeros. What is in it? How can a food be all zeros? But that's what we've been trained to think with all the
Mhm.
marketing, commercials, and the this, that, and the other things. So, you know, think, pick it up, look at the label, decide if you think it's for you, but do the best you can. That's it.
Great. What about eggs? There's all these like you can do organic, cage-free, like all these. Does it matter?
If you want to do, or I hate to keep promoting Costco, but Costco has great prices on organic eggs. But again, natural or grass fed means that the chickens are grass fed. It doesn't mean the grass isn't sprayed. So
Right.
organic, they might
Yeah, you
be,
got the grass-fed, and then you've got the cage-free, and then you've got a organic. I'm like,
yeah. So remember, think it's if they're getting feed, is that organic? Never mind grass fed, unless the grass is not sprayed. I mean, from a
right.
standpoint of the personality of the chicken, and I don't mean to be sarcastic, yes, grass fed, you know, they're out there doing their thing versus, you know, but it depends on what you're looking for. So, again, if you can and want to buy organic eggs, do so. If they're hard to find or they're 3 times the price and you're trying to budget, then don't, or switch it out somewhere else. But again, certain things you do want to look for, like berries, like apples. So you have to figure out what's best for you and your family or whoever you're buying for, and you
Mhm.
do the best you can. Maybe it's you said you're a nomad, so I know you like to move around. So maybe sometimes it's easy to get organic, sometimes it
Right.
isn't, depending on
That's
where
right.
you are.
All right. So the other thing that I'm navigating this year, because I lost weight last year, got to my healthy weight early 2023.
Okay.
And then this year, over the summer, I've put it back on because I've been staying with my parents and eating a lot of good home cooking, among other things. But I also find that during times of high stress, because I was also going through some stressful things as well, I stop paying attention. Like I don't really
Mhm.
put the energy into it, right? And I know I have to figure out how to do that regardless of what else is going on. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on maintaining an ideal healthy weight, keeping it off and still enjoying life and dealing with the ebbs and flows of life and all of that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I will tell you, summer tends to be a trickier time for most people. If you ask the man on the street, they'll say, well, the holiday time, of course. No, it's actually summer. But I would say the main key to answer your question, and it's complex, but the main key is to stop thinking about food. Let your body tell you, get in touch with that. You know, cravings are real. And once you balance those 30 days, you're not going to be craving chocolate. You might be craving strawberries. So we absolutely lose the ability to listen in and not be obsessed about food, not think about what the next meal is, not think about just think about, what do I feel like today? You know, what am I thinking? And once we start to do that, we do a better job of making better choices. However, when we are under stress, it's like, hey, you know, if you eat those french fries for me are killer, but I can't even have someone else at the table eating them because I just start taking them off their plate. You know, if you eat those, you're going to feel better. And we have to work with that voice. I say people, okay, you have that voice that's saying, go ahead. What's one more cookie? Or go ahead, get another scoop of mashed potatoes. Your mother will be thrilled that you're eating it. What does that voice look like? What's the avatar for that voice? Our subconscious is always trying to keep us safe and happy. And at certain circumstances, it knows, as a small child would, if you have that toy, if you have that cookie or that ice cream cone, you're going to feel good. You're going to feel safe. You're going to feel whatever. But as an adult, that no longer really serves us. So it takes some time. Hypnosis is a great tool for that, to really work with, I hear you, I get it, but I'm not choosing to have that right now. You know what? Let me go an hour and see if I still want it. Let me just, I can have that pizza anytime I want, but I don't choose to have it right now. But it takes practice. It takes to keep doing it, and to remember that we're dealing emotionally with the example I always give people is smoking. If you go around a schoolyard, kids usually stand in a circle or a semicircle, and whether they're vaping or smoking, it doesn't matter. But that is the inclusion, right? And if you smoke because your peers are smoking, you're included in that circle. You're part of the in crowd. Now, jump forward 10, 15, 20 years, you're still smoking. Is it serving you at this point? No. But your subconscious only knows that made you safe, made you feel safe, made you feel included. It's the same thing with food. So we really work, and hypnosis is such an excellent tool to speak to the subconscious in a positive way and replace certain behaviors. But in what you're going through, the stress eating or tired eating, there's also the sitting in front of the television eating. I tell people, do something with your hands. Fortunately or unfortunately, they say at night, put your phone down. However, so many people are sitting with their phone that they're not digging their hand into the potato chips because their hands are busy. I've had clients take up crocheting, knitting, because when your hands are busy, you're less likely to be doing this motion. So I would say for you and for everybody out there, it takes some work. Don't beat yourself up. Just remember that voice is trying to help you. It is not trying to sabotage you, although that's what it sounds like. So negotiate. I have one of our coaches that worked with us. She would tell her people, when I go to a party and there's all this food around, I say to myself, if I still want that in a half an hour, I'll eat it. And most of the time I don't want it in a half an hour. I've had something else.
Yes. Yes. And I know that voice in your head. I know that voice very well. She means well.
Yes, she does. But she's back as a 4-year-old, protecting you emotionally, not serving you as the adult right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that, Debbie. So what else would you like to share with us today?
I think I just want to say to anybody out there, particularly the women, it's not you. We beat ourselves up. We think that we don't have value because of this weight thing. We go about our business, we raise our families, we have relationships, we have jobs. But then I'll hear, I don't understand it. I can run my career, run my business, but I can't lose any weight. How could I be a failure at this? So a lot of it has to do with our culture. It has to do with what we're told, what we see. And then again, I'm going to say this. The opposite, the pendulum always swings. So while, yes, you are enough and you want to love your body, but it is not healthy to have so much extra weight, to carry so many extra pounds. And all this rise in diabetes and heart disease, all this stuff that we're seeing. I see these young women and I think, yes, you should be confident. Yes, you should hold yourself high. But no, you should not be 150 pounds overweight. And so we need to understand it's a healthy weight. You said it perfectly. It's your ideal healthy weight. I just want everybody out there, and I'll say one last thing. I am willing to speak to you. If you have questions, if you have concerns, I am willing to speak. There's never any obligation, and we'll just talk. And if there's something I can do to help you, great. But at least you'll have the opportunity to share and get some feedback.
That's awesome. Thank you. And so where do we find you? How do we connect? How do we find out about your program?
Sure.
All the things.
When my book comes out, Dieting Sucks, I'll keep you posted on that too. You can find me at Debbie, Debbie, at mainstreet.com, but it's MAYNESTREET.com. And I am all over social media. You can find Main Street on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Reach out. I am all over the place. Oh, please do.
Awesome. I'll make sure to put your contact in the show notes too, so they can find it there as well.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Thank you, Amy. This has been great. If I can just help one or two other people by listening, that's phenomenal.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed the conversation, and I've definitely learned. I got a few gold nuggets out of the conversation. So thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Blueprint Breakers podcast, Conquer Weight Challenges During Menopause. And a very special thank you to my guest, Debbie Harris. And thank you again for listening and sharing this episode with your friends. If you haven't done it yet, please join us in our Blueprint Breakers Facebook group. Now I would like to quickly share my disclaimer. I am not a therapist, doctor, lawyer, financial advisor, etc. This podcast is for your entertainment and information only. I encourage you to take what I share here as a launching point to discover what is right for you. Have a great week. Keep on breaking those blueprints and rewriting your own.